But the Wazane or Ain-Marne offensive just isn't in the public consciousness. But it was a big deal. It was a very big deal. It involved about 300,000 Americans.
Wow.
It was the first time that an American corps controlled American divisions. Just for example, that statue right there is about 7 kilometers from here. Part of the 111th Regiment bivouacked there after they took that place. The 26th Division started this, fought to that farm, couldn't take it. The Rainbow Division relieved them. From the 26th of July to the 2nd of August, in the trees behind the Memorial, in that 7-8 kilometers, they had 1,200 dead. Here to reduce this flank, because there were 2 roads and a railroad that came down here, the French general strategy was to cut their supply line so the Germans would have to withdraw. They couldn't have bridging material replacements. This is the 1st American Division, the 2nd American Division. In 4 days of combat, the 1st Division had 2,213 dead. We know because all their names are on a wall over there by Guzonsi. The 2nd Division fought for 2 days, had 800 dead. So if you can imagine to go on CNN and say, we've just had 3,000 dead in 4 days, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So when the Germans decided they couldn't cross the Marne, they tried to cross around the 15th. It wasn't successful, so on the 18th of July, they attacked on the flank, and these 2 divisions, the 3rd and the 26th, pushed to the northeast. This is maybe 30 miles from the Marne to the Belle. That's where the Germans set up their next line of deliberate defense. All these battles in between were delaying actions. But the Germans had been here 2 months. It was very deliberate defense. The trees up there behind the Memorial, they had massed 08 Maxim machine guns. There's a hill behind my house here. It's about 2 kilometers. When the Americans got up there, they had observers because machine gunnery is an art. I'm an old Marine, 30 years. They shot more than 2,000 meters in the air, like artillery, cones of fire, beaten zones, and they were killing Americans on the other side of that hill without ever seeing them. There was a Medal of Honor earned behind my house on that hill in the 165th, and another Medal of Honor earned by the 166 closer to Sergi. My great uncle was gassed at Sergi. On the other side was the 28th Division. So you can go to Grimpet Woods, there's a monument to the 3rd, the 28th, and the 32nd Division up there. Basically, when they reached the Belle River, on paper, the Ain-Marne offensive ended, and then the Wazane started about 6 days later, and that's kind of on the other side. You can see the 77th, the 28th, the 307th, the 32nd. So it was a big deal. But I mean, we have 6,012 burials, 241 names on the wall. I mean, when that family got the telegram, the war was over for them. They didn't care what happened the next day. So, you watch CNN just like you do. When we have one dead American somewhere, it's a big deal. You can imagine back then, it normally took them a month, 2 months to find out that the guy died. And they probably didn't have any more correspondence until after the war, when they asked families if they wanted the body repatriated to the U.S., left in France. Did the mother or widow want to participate in the Gold Star Mother pilgrimage? Communications were very minimal. Very minimal. The families just kind of sucked it up. It was a different time. No Keiko, no support, here's your insurance. It's just how things were. This cemetery was a battlefield cemetery. The first burials were put here. 1 August 1918, 10 of them in a trench, 2 of them unknown. By the end of 1918, there were about 4,000 burials here, all killed in combat. But when they decided to repatriate remains, 60% of the knowns went back to the U.S., 40% stayed in France. So if you can imagine 4,000 here and then 60% disappearing, well, you had to arrange a lot of people. There were more Americans that died of disease than combat in World War I. Most of them by the ocean, Brest, Saint-Nazaire, Bordeaux, and 40% of the known stayed in France, and they had to be buried somewhere. There's 6 World War I cemeteries in France. 1 is in Paris. It's not very big. It wasn't on a battlefield. The other 5 were on battlefields. So those 40% who died of disease were divided among our cemeteries. So 30 to 35% of our burials never heard a shot fired. But for that family, where their loved one jumped on a hand grenade or run over by a truck, it's the same thing, you know, he entered our armed forces, he gave his life, and he gets the same honors as anyone else. Wow.